Online as I call to order this meeting of the Bellbrook-Sugarcreek Board of Education for the purpose of conducting the school district's business. We value everyone's input and have made sure to dedicate a portion of this meeting to hear from you. In case anybody missed it, there's a sign-in sheet kind of right in front of me there in the back of the room. For anybody wishing to speak tonight, you can sign up there. And we look forward to your comments during that time as it's indicated on our agenda. So with that, please call the roll.
Mrs. Anderson?
Here.
Mrs. Dawn?
Here.
Mr. Kinsey?
Present.
Mr. Price? Dr. Pryor?
Present.
4 present.
All right, we have a quorum. If you're able, please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, tonight's treasurer's report, please.
My first recommendation is approval of minutes for the meetings of June 11th and June 30th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Anderson, seconded by Dr. Pryor. Does anybody have any questions or corrections? Please call the vote.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Dawn?
Abstain. I was absent.
Mr. Kinsey?
Yes.
Dr. Pryor?
Yes.
3 yeses, 1 abstain. My second recommendation is approval of 2 then and now certificates.
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Pryor, then Mrs. Anderson.
So these are one's for finish timing, which is for our track and field services, and the other one is for Raptor Technology. This is paid out of a grant fund. We did not have the grant allocations at the time invoice came in, so we had to issue the purchase order up once we got the grant allocations.
I got any questions? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Dawn?
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey?
Yes.
Dr. Pryor?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
4 yeses.
Anything else, sir?
I have one more. Monthly financial statement for June 2026.
So moved. Second.
Mrs. Dorn, then Mrs. Anderson.
Sorry. So our full financial year is over at June 30th. So the financial statement just look a bit different from previous months. If you look at it, revenue-wise, we were almost where we should be. Taxes came in a little low, but our interest income and payment in lieu of taxes for Cornerstone made up for that gap. Expenditures were mostly in line except for purchase services, which we were under. We did not spend as much as we budgeted, so which is a good thing. Overall, we had $2.4 million in cash in the general fund than we anticipated, which is always a good thing. I don't want to be here saying we had less cash than we expected.
Anybody have anything for this month's report?
I just had a question. It looks like our state foundation, it says it's in the red. The red means that that's not.
Yeah, it's only $9,000. So state does every month they do an adjustment based on our enrollment. So sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. So there must have been just a bit decrease in our enrollment from where it started, and that's why it's only $9,000 in red.
Anything else? All right, it was moved by Mrs. Dorn, seconded by Mrs. Anderson. Please call the roll.
Mr. Kinsey?
Yes.
Dr. Pryor?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Dawn?
Yes.
4 yeses.
Anything else?
That's all I have. The only thing I have one news while I'm here. Our 2025 audit qualified for the AOS award. So someone from Audit of State's office should be here sometime in August, one of the 2 meetings, to give us the award.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
To give you that award.
You're
Yeah.
lead with that.
You and your
Yeah,
staff.
that's great.
It's everyone in the
Would
district.
you mind explaining for everybody what the Auditor of State
So
Award is?
basically that means it's a clean audit. We don't have anything in the report. They look at our compliance. They look at our compliance with federal money we get and our financial statements, and they did not find any errors. They did not find any material non-compliance. They had nothing to report. So it's about less than 6% of the total entities in Ohio that get it, and we're one of the 6%.
Wow.
That's great.
You
Great
are
job.
amazing.
Well done.
Awesome.
That's awesome, especially for a new treasurer coming to the
Right.
district. That's
Yeah.
stellar.
No, I think it's the staff, like, really good staff and
And the
everyone
staff,
else.
yes.
Because compliance portion, it's federal, and which is all the principals, all the department heads, everyone.
Wow. That's great.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Does anybody have any correspondence tonight you'd like to share with the board?
I do, actually. I got an email on July 1st, and it went into my spam folder, and I didn't see it till like 2 days ago. And I just want to make sure you are all aware of it. It was from a parent who's very concerned about, too much screen time and how it could affect children's learning and development, which, as a mom, I've always been concerned about that, too. She sent a very detailed email with links to lots of scientific research on the subject. She would like the school to do a formal review of Chromebook use and let everyone know, like, how much screen time do the kids have per day at school for each grade. And, if there's a way to monitor the off-task screen time at school. She feels, she would be happy to help with this review in any way, possible. But I think that is very interesting information. We certainly want to make sure we're using the best tools that are actually helping like that we think they are. So anyway, was in my spam folder.
It
so
was
if
in
you
mine
haven't
too.
seen
That I was going to
Okay.
mention it as well.
Okay.
She also talked a lot about the security features that we have and not being able to customize those to her level for her student. So I wasn't sure maybe if it's something we should loop in the tech department on, maybe to help it with that. Did you get the email or?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So there is an app that definitely a parent can customize.
Okay.
And so if they need some help with that or have some questions, or we can more than happy to help
Okay.
with
Okay.
that.
Awesome.
It's called Custodio
Okay.
is the name of that home app.
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Parent
Thank
can
you.
monitor. Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll be sending out that information at the beginning of the year too.
Okay.
Yep, back to school.
All right, anything else? All right, that'll move us into honoring some student athletes. Give me a second here. Always a favorite part of our night. We did have two gentlemen that I believe said that they weren't able to make it, but we'll just double check. But just in case not, we do want to recognize for being second team All-State on boys lacrosse, Cooper Redfern, and first team All-State in baseball, Landon Venatelli. So let's give them a round of applause. We'll make sure those get to where they need to be. These gentlemen are up here. Please feel free to join me here in a second, and no pressure. I'll let you know if you want to say a few words or maybe introduce anybody that came with you. You can, but no pressure. It's about 50-50 if people take us up on that. But first, honorable mention, All-State in baseball, Drew Schindler. Is Drew here? Make sure that is Drew. Third team All-State in lacrosse, Paul Chaser. Congratulations. Good job. Anything else?
Thank you guys, all the boys that came out here on the team. Thank you guys for coming to support. Thank you to Coach Nate. He's been in my corner since I was like 8 years old, this tall, raising me, so credit him where I am right now. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Mom.
Thank you parents too.
And last but not least, third team All-State lacrosse, Christian Birchman.
I just want to thank my family and my friends that came out to support, and my teammates, and my coaches that are not here. Thank you.
Just want to say, usually it's just the athletes that turn up with their parents. So the fact that I assume like these are all teammates that the rest of you guys came, that's really cool. Way to go, guys.
And feel free, if you got anywhere you need to be that's more fun than this, we will not have any hard feelings. If you want to take off, you're welcome to stay for the rest of our business meeting. Thank you so much for coming. All right, thank you. All right, so we're going to move into our open communication period for public comments. Your thoughts and comments are welcome during this time. When you're given the floor, please share your name, address, and any group affiliation you hold if it's relevant. You'll then have 5 minutes for your comments, which should be directed toward the presiding officer, who tonight happens to be me. This time is for the board to listen and absorb, and as such, traditionally, a dialogue is not created in this moment. These procedures can be read in their entirety in policy number 169.91 on the district's website, and the full policy was also included as an attachment to our agenda, so everyone could have seen that. The reason for this policy is to ensure that as many people as possible have the opportunity to speak and that everyone is treated equally and fairly. So with that, I would like to welcome Heather, and I'm so sorry, help me with your last name, Roszewski? Roszewski. Thank you so much for being here. Only if you're comfortable with it, you can step right on up to that.
I would be
Words.
the parent that sent the email, so I wanted to
Words.
come
I'm
in
not sure.
public.
I'm not sure it's words.
That's for
Yep, so
that's
it's for the
online.
online, it's for the
Okay,
YouTube
great.
audience, but appreciate you being here, and you have 5 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, Mr. Kinsey. My name is Heather Roszewski, and I live at 3653 Shellbark Drive, right across the street. And I am not affiliated with any group. My husband and I are merely concerned citizens and parents. We have twins who are getting ready to start 7th grade at Bellbrook Middle School. And I previously served as a colonel in the Air Force and senior associate dean for academic affairs at the School of Aerospace Medicine, overseeing curriculum for more than 5,000 students each year. I greatly appreciate the opportunity to speak to you and address a growing concern within our local schools and frankly across our nation. As a parent and an educator, I see how classroom devices are affecting student learning, attention, and well-being. My husband Brian and I have seen it firsthand with our own kids, and we are extremely concerned. And it seems like every week, more and more research is pointing toward a sad truth, that EdTech is hurting our kids, not helping them. Tonight, I'm asking the board to initiate a district-wide, evidence-based review of Chromebook use, beginning with grades K through 8. Although I'm fairly new to this community, we've been here about 2 years, I know we pride ourselves on educating the next generation with excellence, intention, and care. But we now have clear research showing that excessive device use is impairing children cognitively, reducing attention, weakening working memory engagement, and undermining the deeper learning we value. Psychologists also warn that school day digital environments contribute to anxiety, distraction, and off-task behavior, especially for students with ADHD, anxiety, or executive function challenges. And when you look at the studies across the United States, about 15 to 20% of our kids fall into that category. That's a very large percentage when you think of it from an educational standpoint. Teachers in our own district report spending significant time policing screens instead of teaching. And I've talked to my teachers last year in 6th grade about that. I want them to teach. I don't want them to be monitoring what kids are on because we haven't set any guardrails for what kids can be on during the school day. These concerns are most urgent in K through 8, where students are developmentally more vulnerable to distraction and digital overuse. Chromebooks have become portals to content that parents and teachers cannot reliably control, and this is eroding both learning and classroom focus. I'm here tonight to respectfully request that the board conduct a formal review that includes the following: actual student screen time data. This can be pulled. We pulled it for our kids last year, and we were shocked at what they were on during the school day as well as in our own home. Patterns of off-task use, including YouTube access. I've included in your packet an article from the Wall Street Journal specifically about YouTube. research on learning outcomes, consideration of age-appropriate limits or lower-tech classrooms, and finally, not only seek input from teachers, parents, and scientists, cognitive science experts, but support their feedback by including it as we move forward and make data-driven decisions for our students. I also urge the board to establish clear limits on AI access for all students. Sure, AI is a tool, but using it too soon in our educational system completely removes the creative and cognitive learning process. I've seen this in my own home last year, which is why I asked the middle school to disable ChatGPT from my 6th graders' Chromebooks last year after learning that my kids were using it to do homework and solve problems and not asking their teachers for help. With generative AI expanding rapidly, students can bypass learning and access inappropriate content with ease. This also aligns with Ohio House Bill 96, which requires districts to adopt formal AI policies, and I believe that's within a matter of weeks. I want to emphasize that I'm here not only to raise concerns, but to be a part of the solution. If the board chooses to establish a committee or working group to review these issues, I would be honored to participate, and I know my husband would too, and contribute my experience, expertise, and passion for what we're talking about here tonight. The future of our children depends on our willingness to take a hard, honest look at what EdTech is contributing to and what it is taking away. I have prepared packets of information for each board member to support your review, and I've included my contact information should you wish to follow up, ask questions, or invite me back as you move forward. Additionally, I highly recommend reviewing the book, The Digital Delusion by Dr. Horvath, a neuroscientist. He not only breaks down EdTech myths, but also provides tools for parents, educators, and administrators. He's got great tools in the back of his book. So as we move forward, his book and the accompanying tools will be very beneficial to avoid starting from scratch. Let me emphasize, this is not a call to eliminate technology. It's a call to use it intentionally, sparingly, and in ways that support, not replace, effective teaching. Our district has an opportunity to lead with evidence and protect student attention, learning, and well-being. Thank you for your time, attention, and for your commitment to our students.
Thank you very much for your comments. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
And
Yeah,
can I
and
leave those folders? for you?
That'd be great. We'll be sure to pick them up. Absolutely. Thank you very much. All right, so that's the end of our list, so we will close public comment time tonight.
Thank you so much. It's okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. This is for your number. Is in here. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, sure.
All right, so we will move into the superintendent's report for tonight.
Yep, thank you. So, certificated license employment resignation, leave of absence, supplemental duty, and administrative central office employment resignation. I'm sorry, let's just do, we don't have a consent agenda. So let's do, if we can do them both together, is that all right if we do 6A and B? Or do you want to do them separately?
Yeah, no, if you want to make a recommendation to do A and B, that's fine, if somebody moves that way, yeah.
Let's just do them separately, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
all right.
Certificated license employment resignation, leave of absence, supplemental duty, sorry.
So moved.
Second?
All right, so
Thank
just
you.
A was
Just
moved
A.
by Dr. Pryor and seconded by Mrs. Anderson.
Yep. Again, just resignations and then also a lot of supplemental pupil activity contracts.
All right, anybody got any questions on that? Please call the roll.
Dr. Pryor,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dawn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey.
Yes.
4 yeses.
Right. 6B, administrative central office employment resignation, leave of absence.
So moved.
Second?
Dr. Pryor, and then I heard Mrs. Dorn a little bit louder.
All right, we don't necessarily have a policy on cumulative cashing in cumulative vacation days for staff, so until we have that policy, we would like to make this resolution.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dawn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes.
Dr. Pryor.
Yes.
4 yeses.
All right, thank you. Other action items. Recommend acceptance of donation with gratitude from Tom Bean and the Miami Radio Control Airplane Club.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Dorn, then Dr. Pryor.
And this is for $331 cash. I know they come in and fly their planes, but also give or talk to some classes also.
And they're always at a STEAM night.
Yep, they're always
Their
at STEAM night.
booth is always very popular.
Yep.
So,
Take up the whole auxiliary gym.
yeah, very generous.
Yep.
Please call the roll to accept with gratitude.
Mrs. Dawn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes, thank you.
Dr. Pryor,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson.
Yes.
4 yeses.
All right, thank you. 7B, athletic overnights. I recommend approval of the following athletic department overnights, September 12th, 13th, and September 20 and 21st, both for golf and paid by golf.
So moved.
Second?
Dr. Pryor and then Mrs. Anderson. Please call the roll.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes.
Dr. Pryor,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dawn.
Yes.
4 yeses.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, under items, information, and discussion, so at the last board meeting, there was a motion and a resolution passed to change the valedictorian, salutatorian after the 8th semester. And so I've got Mr. Han here tonight, high school principal, and so we've talked and discussed, and I wanted to go over how we see that being implemented and those next steps of how that can happen the most effectively and officially. And so if we do award that after the 8th semester, to ensure accurate information, we would need official transcripts from those CCP classes and waiting until after the semester ends and to request and receive official transcripts. So there is some time in there with CCP college classes to get in their grades and then to request that information. And then also year-long classes to include those. Those grades are not officially due until actually contractually by 3 days after the school year. Even most get it done the last day they're here, but they actually have 3 days from the last student day in order to get that information. So we're kind of seeing that if we want the most accurate and official, that this would not be completed by the graduation ceremony. This would be done afterwards until probably would be late May, early June, where we would officially, most accurately name a valedictorian and salutatorian. So, Mr. Han, do you have you want to add anything to that? I know we had talked. Okay. Also, we would not have nominees for the county ESC recognition or best in the class TV spots because they asked for valedictorian and salutatorian. So, and if there's feedback or thoughts on that.
Well, the ESC thing, very few people sent valedictorians. They sent students of distinction, like 5. One school sent 12. So we could send, top 5 to that. We don't need to send valedictorian and salutatorian
Yep.
to that.
We could make a change on
So,
that, sure.
that's not a problem. And if, we will be, redoing the teachers' union contract this spring, so we could change it that for future years that they can get the, top 3 students' grades in earlier, in the future.
Right.
That's fine, but I'm also fine with, releasing a list of, valedictorian, salutatorian after graduation when it's known. I would do a top 10 or top 25 and have a little paragraph about each student. So, I would rather it be accurate. So,
Rather than
Okay.
practically have them give speeches at graduation like has always been done.
Yeah, because the title is, I mean, the title means, valedictorian means the top of the class, the number one student. And if we cannot reasonably do that at that time accurately, because what has happened this year, I don't know if it's happened in other years, but what has happened this year is that the top student was not the top student at the very, very end. So, I mean, I think that we either need to fix it or,
It ends up to me that you're taking away, like, the honor, for most individuals, I would think, the honor of being the valedictorian is giving that speech. It's
Right.
not coming out 3 weeks after graduation in a Facebook announcement. It's standing up in front of your class and in front of your family and giving that speech. And so practically, taking that away to me is way worse.
Well, Kettering, does wait till the end, and they, the teachers don't mind giving those top 3 students grades early, and they have it all worked out, and they reach out, there's like 3 students you're talking about, so they managed to do it. So the school could do it if they wanted by
I
graduation.
imagine that for students that
Yeah.
are taking courses here, that we could get grades after senior exams are complete.
right?
I think the question becomes students taking CCP classes,
Right.
and can we get official transcripts from Sinclair, Wright State, whatever colleges those are?
Would it be possible to say, if you're taking CCP's 8th semester, we need the grades in by this date, or they won't be included,
But that
For
isn't
graduation.
necessarily, those grades could be what makes them not, like a student
Right.
telling them that if you
Right.
don't get it in by this date,
Right.
it won't be included, could help that student. If they
Right.
know that that grade is a
Right,
B
right.
and not an A.
Right.
So in theory, moving forward with what we know on that date and with a stated plan of adding a co after should the unlikely event occur, that something that comes in after the fact changes.
I would be okay with that, as long as we're
Makes-
willing to
to
add
me,
the co.
You have students that now have been working for 3 years that are going into their senior year that are contending for that, and to say, hey, we want to make sure it's right, so you don't get to give a speech that you've already been working towards, that's not okay. So,
Do we have a different deadline for senior grades at all? Or is it just, because they're done,
Sure.
they're done,
They are done.
in
but
our
there-
building?
Right. There's no way to have the grade book or progress book calculate those grades, because there's not a separate system that just the seniors are in that we can close those windows and say, okay, calculate all those grades. So there would be hand calculating being done.
Right.
But I
And-
think it's also the CCP classes that are of a concern, that if we don't include those, then we're kind of shifting the problem or the situation possibly to penalizing kids that are taking CCP classes.
So could we have the deadline just be, I mean, it's a Bellbrook valedictorian, so, I mean, just say, if you are taking CCP, then you run the risk of having it, you're added later as a co, if you turn out to be, if it flips it.
I feel like if that were to happen, that would need additional changes to the handbook and language and whatnot, and
It just gets complicated real fast, and a lot of scrambling at the end, which is what we don't want, scrambling at the end. And if we're going to wait that long, we would want to obviously have it the official, accurate information. And so I know, again, so that I just wanted, there's just some positives and negatives to waiting until the 8th semester. Again, and waiting until the end, you're going to get the person with the highest GPA. But in order to officially have that 100%, the graduation timeline, I don't know if it is realistic. And so to have it official. Again, so students that are taking CCP classes that are 18, they're adults, they have to get permission to release, or they have to release it, or the parents don't have necessarily access to that information unless the student gives them access to the information. Once they turn 18 at a college, they could say, nope, I don't want anybody to have this information. So we'd be relying on them to turn in the official transcript or at the end of the time.
Isn't part of just the timelines for graduation is early, it's a week before our end of the school year.
Yeah.
Sinclair and Wright State get out relatively close to that deadline, and the date for their grade submission is sometime after they're done with their semester.
So when I looked at Sinclair, I think May 9th was the last day. They have up to 7 days, I believe, to submit their grades, and then 1 to 2 days for transcript, 7 business days, and 1 to 2 business days to get transcript. So that's 9 business days, and so that's either after graduation or that's cutting it really, really close. And what if there's a glitch somewhere and the system's down or something's, you're just waiting until the last minute and some things can happen that are unforeseen and that could impact that, and then we're scrambling to figure out who's going to be, if we want to do it for graduation. That's the thing, that if we want to do it during graduation, naming a valedictorian after 8 semesters is going to be unofficial. And then we could still, have a situation where the person with the highest GPA was not named valedictorian during the ceremony.
So a couple things. Number
Yep.
one, this board has spent a crazy amount of time on this topic that affects a very, very small percentage of our students. Now, it's important to get it right, but it's also important to listen to the recommendations of our administrators. Secondly, I think it would be relatively straightforward to make yet another edit to the handbook stating what the practice is going to be, that as of the date, whatever we set it for, 3 days, 5 days, whatever it is, prior to graduation, all official, like the ceremonial valedictorian will be based on all official grades that have been submitted to the office as of the date, that's X days prior to graduation. Should official calculations change following that date, then a co will be named. Something to that effect. That's the only thing in my brain that makes sense. I do
sounds
not
good.
know if that is practical. I would want you all to recommend some language, like, if that is kind of the gist of the intent, recommend some practical language that works. But like, there's no perfect solution. I think the worst thing that we can do is say, hey, we want it to be perfect, so we have to wait until July, and then nobody really is honored by it anyway.
Well, I think it would be fine to, have a date, like you mentioned, and, that the top student at that point will be valedictorian and salutatorian in graduation, and they will always be that, but if someone else is ahead at the end, they will be made a co-valedictorian. I mean, it's just, I don't want any more, I want the goal to be that we're trying to give the award to the top student, which,
Right.
And if the numbers didn't turn out that way, then we correct it and make a co-valedictorian.
I agree. Yeah.
Mr. Hand, do you have thoughts?
I thought that was my next question. Isn't that something you have brought up?
And that's totally fine with me too. We could write it in the handbook, like the last year we're going to be doing this is whatever you say it will be. It's fine.
And the other question is if we are truly going to do students of merit or whatever for the county awards, what are we basing that on? If it's top 5, what are we?
I'd be-
That's 7.5, 7? Not sure.
I would recommend 7 semesters, including all the 7th semester grades, though.
Because that's the way we are doing summa cum laude and
Right,
all of the
right.
Latin honors after 7 semesters, including semester, half courses, yeah, year-long courses at half
Right.
semester, yeah.
But it would be possible, like devil's advocate, at 7.5 or 7 semesters, including everything. Those top 5 kids, we then send on to the county awards and nominate for all those things. It's very possible someone outside the top 5, in theory, it's possible. If this kid take a bunch of CCD classes on the 7th semester, could move up this week to learn about employment. So it's tight. That's why it's so tight. And that's why we want to kind of get away from this whole thing.
And I don't think that's a problem at all. You would be saying we're sending, whatever was the top 5, that's a 7th semester, including the year-long classes, then it's fair for everyone. And if they're changed by the end of the year, that's great. We'd catch that. If they moved up to valedictorian, we'd catch that at the end of the year.
I'm still a little fuzzy on the valedictorian salutatorian. So if the grades aren't due until after graduation, and college grades aren't due until after graduation, it's going to be tough to, again, the accuracy point, that's going to be tough. My wife works at Caroline, that father at Caroline, they project grades. They're not really doing 8 semesters like they say. They're kind of going around, what do you think they'll catch? That type of thing. So we kind of, there's a reason very few schools do 8 semesters. It also goes back to printing. We have to print all the, not just the awards and things like that, but the graduation publications and things like that. If we're going to note valedictorian, salutatorian, and have who's giving speeches, and we're going to still do that. That needs to be done in advance so we can have everything ready for graduation. That's usually a couple weeks.
Is there any way, to go back a few years and do the math and, calculate 7th semester GPA, including all the 7th semester classes, and see how
They're all
often?
gone. Once it goes past, that's a progress point.
Okay.
Once you move beyond third quarter,
Okay.
fourth quarter, it's gone.
Okay, I was just trying to see if there was a way to predict how often that person who was highest in 7th semester is also highest at the end.
I would think it's pretty similar, but that's just me guessing. So that's probably not the best way to go about it.
Well, I think, we could think about this and make it change next time as necessary, but if we had to, do it with the 7th semester grades, including all 7th semester classes, but then double check at the end and make co-valedictorians and a co-salutatorian if necessary, that would be probably okay. Yeah, it would be after the fact, like this year.
I would be okay with that. That would make sense. Even at 7.5 to 7 semesters with the half credit period in.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long,
After it's all said and done, and the changes, we could do something like that. Well, we put it in the book and that's all figured out. I can support that.
So again, this is a really productive conversation. I'm sorry I was not here at the last meeting, but this is a conversation that should have happened before that vote at the last meeting. Mr. Kinsey asked for this conversation, for this vote to be tabled. It was not. It should have been, because a vote happened without understanding the second and third order consequences. And it was very frustrating, I will tell you, as I was watching online, it was very frustrating to watch him sit there and ask for a pause because we knew we didn't have all of the information for that to be pushed forward. So if we're talking now, which I think this is great, about 7th semester, everyone being wide-eyed and clear on what the rules are and what the rules will be if a change occurs after the fact, great. I think that's great. I think we put words to that and we change it yet again. But now we're making a, third or fourth change to a handbook
I'd rather
that has
make
already been
changes to-
published
Yeah,
and that parents have already reviewed and signed off on in final forms.
well,
So,
we're making it accurate. I will never.
I think that's what we're going to end up having to do, but it shouldn't be what we're having to do.
But if it means that we get it right, then that's what matters. So,
I agree.
It's fine to amend it again.
All right, so I've been quiet this meeting because I said my piece last meeting, but kind of in summary, if I may, it sounds like, and I very much like this, administration has heard a lot about this topic. Does anybody object if, based on what was said here tonight and everything in the past, administration comes up with a recommendation with the goal of trying to get as close as possible to the 8th semester GPA and then figuring out what happens if something happens after that? Because I agree, there should be a speech. If we're going to have a valedictorian, I think there needs to be a speech. But having administration come back with a recommendation that we then vote on, I guess I would prefer that rather than I don't want us crafting
one
a
right
motion,
here on the fly.
is my preference.
Yeah, because it also has to be, again, second and third order, like making sure whatever is crafted jives with what is in the course guide and jives with what is in board policy, and that everything all flows through. And how are we going to, like a communication plan of how that change is going to be communicated, particularly to the senior class, right? Especially considering, again, the handbook has been published, I won't say most, but a number of families have already reviewed it diligently, I'm sure, in final forms and signed off. So what is the comp plan for how that is going to be presented to the senior class and parents?
So if I'm hearing folks right, the spirit of this, if I have this right, is we are calculating, we're kind of doing a hybrid here, we're calculating val and sal after 7 semester grades with progress points. However, after the 8th semester, after all the official grades are submitted and everything, if there is someone that jumps ahead, we'll retroactively also award them to be co-valedictorian. Is that what I'm
I would
hearing,
be
the
fine
spirit
with
of that?
Yes.
I would be totally fine
I would be
with
fine
that.
with that as well.
Okay.
And then if there's a further discussion about eliminating val and sal, I think that needs to be an agenda item, because I think there are going to be people in the community that have an opinion about that deserves to be on an agenda and, again, look into it further.
I would like to see some data on that too, as far as people's opinions.
I mean, there's something to be like, we have presented ourselves as a board of we value merit, and so I'm hesitant to remove
Right.
something of tradition and stature and merit.
Okay. Yep, I'll bring it back at the August 13th meeting. And we will get it out there as soon as possible after that then.
Okay.
Okay, good, thank you. District goals. There's 2, 3. Okay, so I'm going to stand over here. All right. So as you know, at the June board meeting, we finished up the 2023-2026 district goals, and again, of three-year span here. And so back in January of this year, conversation at that Saturday meeting of kind of getting some thoughts and guidance from the board of what some future goals would look like. And coming away from that, a focus on kind of continuing on the same kind of things that we're doing and digging deeper and going deeper into things, but kind of staying on the same path. So within that spirit, this is the creation of the district goals. We did provide opportunities for feedback from goals or concepts in the goals or thoughts in the goals from staff, administrators, our district implementation team, which is kind of our district leadership team, and also through communities, the community and families through our chats. And so providing that kind of feedback on either concepts or the actual plans themselves. Thank you. There we go. So again, we, I thought maybe, did you, okay. You guys have district mission and vision in there. So our district mission, better today than yesterday, better tomorrow than today. And the district vision at Bellbrook-Sugarcreek Schools will do the right thing, soar together and pursue excellence. Again, those are the things, the items and the vision and mission that we've had in our last plan, and really that is Focus 3 language, and which actually goes into our first goal here. And so those tie into, if you go around the schools, you'll see those expressions and those sayings, and really trying to live those out, not only through our staff members, but obviously through our students. So our first goal here is really similar to our last first goal of our 2023-2026 of expanding stakeholder engagement and further embedding Focus 3 principles to fortify our district culture. And so for each one of these, we kind of have a goal statement, who's on the committee, and then also a few action steps, and then there's other action steps and other indicators that we are still trying to flush out on these. But continuing down the path, Focus 3 principles in our schools, improve culture, boost engagement, align behavior amongst students, staff, and families. Again, further embedding these, we're already doing these things, but further embedding these, R factor, which is response, R stands for response, E plus R equals O. Your response really dictates your reaction to the event and dictates the O, which is the outcome. So R factor language, feedback systems in all handbooks, newsletters, meetings, recognition programs. So we have obviously a really solid base with this. We've been doing this since 2020, Focus 3. So just continuing on this path and further embedding it and further refining it. And then the other one is conducting listen and learn sessions each semester. So that is throughout the community with chats, or maybe a senior citizen luncheon, which we started this year, but also out with staff, and then also with students. So trying to conducting those listen and learn sessions and getting that feedback and trying to increase that engagement. Any questions on that? And again, there's opportunity for questions at the end too. Okay. Our next goal is probably not probably, it is our biggest one. And so in our last goal, systems and processes, implementation, science, we really learned a lot in those 3 years where we really dug in implementation science. And really that is setting up any type of program, initiative for success, really thinking through that implementation plan rather than maybe doing it right at the beginning and then moving on to other things that are happening, but continuing to ensure that whatever program or initiative that we have going on, we are trying as much as possible to be doing that with fidelity. So one of those things that we implemented within our systems and processes, so we had a selection and deselection process. That was one of the things, HR, improving our human resources process. And then our last one was MTSS, which is multi-tier systems of supports. And so Tier 1, and again, I don't want to get too educationally easy, but Tier 1 is just classroom. Every kid goes to the classrooms, they go to classes, that's Tier 1. Tier 2, kids maybe need a little extra help or need a little extra push. And so what kind of supports are we providing to them? And then of those kids in Tier 2, who needs even more intensive support or push? And so that's Tier 3. And so that's really simply what those three things are. So we were already doing MTSS in our district, but again, like anything else, trying to standardize, trying to make it K to 12 that it makes sense vertically and horizontally. Doesn't mean that what we're doing at Stephen Bell is the same thing we're doing at high school, but the same conceptual kind of things. If a student's having trouble with X at Stephen Bell, they're going to do this. If they're having trouble with Y at the high school, they're going to do these things. So these first 5 items here, we are basing this on the state framework. They just, within the past year or so, came out with an MTSS framework. And so we are modeling ours after this. We already have a committee that has been working on this that actually put together the framework that was from our last goal. So universal screening, that's essentially the gist of the first one there. So things such as our MAP test, using those as areas where kids need extra help or they need an extra push. We're using those, all kids. When it says universal screening, all kids are getting that 3 times a year. K to 10, they're getting that. But then also some non-academic pieces, maybe such as behavior. So that's something that we're going to continue to investigate and dig into. And then fully integrated data-based decision-making. So doing things such as root cause analysis, really trying to figure out what is the problem of this before we start providing a bunch of solutions. What's the actual problem? So being a little bit more intentional about that. We are looking at a new data warehouse that is much more user-friendly for our staff. Our staff spends probably too much time on trying to gather all the information and gather the data. We're looking at a data warehouse that really does a lot of that stuff behind the scenes, and then the teachers and staff can spend more time talking about those solutions, talking about the students rather than trying to collate all that data or that information. Continuum of supports for K to 12. Again, so that one really is focusing a lot on our Tier 1 instruction. So this involves all teachers, K to 12, of teacher clarity, really success criteria. So these are some programs out there. Visible Learning with John Hattie, who does some meta researching, and Rosenshine's Principles of Instruction, focusing on review, questioning, modeling, practicing. So those are things that all of our teachers can get better at. That's an instructional piece, trying to get even better at being better instructors. And so that's the gist of that one. 2.4 is progress monitoring. Again, so once they are universally screened and getting those interventions, how are they doing on those interventions? Are they making progress? Or are they not? If they're not, maybe they need to try something else. Maybe we need to look a little longer. So that's what progress monitoring is. How are they reacting to these interventions that are going on in Tier 2 and Tier 3? And integrated team-based problem solving. Our TBTs are really doing plan, do, study, act with those, with our data, and then also helping with Wit and Wisdom is our elementary program, or other ELA programs of really digging into that data and that information on those, any type of common assessments within that or other subject areas. And then 2.6 is really just to continue on our implementation science work, and so that's why that is in on this one. Systems and processes, foundational excellence, really getting really good at building a strong foundation rather than spending time and effort on some other things that maybe don't make a big a difference. And again, this is going to hit all students and all staff. Questions on this one?
Kind of a general question, and I don't expect you to have an answer for this. It's more of a, I don't know, give me an opinion at some later date. But I work for the federal government. A lot of this one sounds a lot like things going on at my work right now, where we have leadership that is, I'm not talking about like big, like administration level leadership. I'm talking about 2-3 levels up from me, leadership that just wants data. And it gets to the point where all we, the worker bees, are doing is documenting every time we sneeze. And so there is very little time left to do actual work. So my question would be, and again, I don't need you to answer right now, but if I asked a classroom teacher, is all of this helping you be a better classroom teacher, what would their answer be? And if this is something that teachers are like excited to do and really feel like it's helping them, or, because this is a lot, like, this is a lot of things. We've had great presentations on MTSS and how it's working in our buildings. This seems like a whole lot of things, not, I will admit, not all of which I understand. But this seems like a whole lot of data for people who are supposed to be teaching 25 little children to be tracking.
So this is a 3 to 5 year, I mean, this is a 3-year plan, but it's probably longer than that. So it doesn't mean that all this stuff is happening right now. I mean, of like tomorrow, but a lot of this is already happening.
Okay.
We're already doing a lot of this already. It is just further trying to standardize it, make sure it makes sense vertically and horizontally. And I guess I would rephrase your question and focus on, are the students are they learning what they need to learn?
Are we getting better outcomes?
And if they aren't learning what they need to learn, then what are we doing about that?
Mm-hmm.
And if they are learning what they need, how are we pushing them even further? So I would rephrase that question and focusing on the students.
We have to be open to all the answers.
Yep,
like,
definitely.
Is the reason they're not learning because their teacher's spending too much time capturing data and not teaching? I don't, like, is that
Right.
one of the possibilities that we're considering?
Yeah. And so that's why we're really looking at a new data warehouse.
Okay.
Really looking at a new data warehouse to eliminate some of that collating of that data and that information.
So a lot of this is is test scores and whatnot, not
It's
like,
pulling reports, basically. You have to pull reports and then implement the data. But yes, this is a universal problem across education in every district, just, yes.
this, like.
Too much data. It's
that
just too much,
there's,
yes. But this is not a Bellbrook problem, it's a universal to education problem.
Again, we're trying to be smart with it
Right.
also, but we want teachers effectively to use data. We just don't want, well, why are you doing that? And they wouldn't say this. Well, it's Thursday and I just felt like it. I mean, there's got to be a rhyme or reason, and there is rhyme or reasons to that. So trying to balance that all out.
Right.
But we also need to know where a student stands on a particular skill, and if we don't know what their skill deficit is, what intervention how are we helping that student? We're just throwing darts at them. Darts at the problem. Is if we don't know what the problem is, and so that's if we don't have the data to figure out what the problem is, we're just throwing. Let's just do 2 or 3 things and cross our fingers. Maybe that will work. I'm not saying we're doing that, but that's so that's the other piece of the whole thing. And again, this is not a new concept. I mean, this concept has been around 10, 15, 20, probably even longer than that. But this is a structure and a process. Like I said, we're already doing, like universal screening, we're already doing MAP. We're already doing teacher-based teams. Our staff, teachers, they meet after their MAP scores and they talk about students and what kind of interventions do they need. So this isn't like starting from scratch.
Right, and I know, like I said,
yes.
I don't mean to sound like I'm nitpicking this, because I'm not, because when we've seen them talk about how they're actually doing it in our classrooms, it's very impressive, and I think it's been very effective where it's been implemented. So, I guess all I'm saying is, this seems like a lot.
It is a lot. It is. It is a lot. I mean, this is and that's why there's only 4 goals on our district goals, because this is probably, 5 goals. And so that's why we aren't doing all this other stuff either. So that's why, but this is what we should be doing. We should be focusing on what are students learning if they aren't, and what kind of sports are we providing to them. They already learning it. They've already learned it. What are we doing to push them a little farther? So that's the gist of this whole thing. And that's what we should be spending time and energy on it. And again, be cognizant of those data pieces.
No, and I love if we've got good data, using data to do things, awesome. It's how much time we're spending collecting the data is my bigger concern. Now, standardized testing, whatnot, we end up having to do anyways. And so if we're just harvesting that and using it wisely, all good.
Yeah. Good questions. Again, it is a lot. You're right, it is. So, but this is what we should be spending time and energy on rather than peripheral kind of stuff. All right, good questions. All right, next, safe and welcoming facilities. So we're responsibly planning for future needs of the school district to provide an excellent, safe, and welcoming facilities for students, staff, families, and communities. Comprehensive facilities plan, 100% completion rate of deferred maintenance, institutionalization of a 7 years master facilities and grounds plan, ensuring all grounds are safe, welcoming, responsible maintenance for the future. Again, we're already doing this. The new piece of this is really trying to address those long-standing issues, maybe some work orders that have been open for a while, or some things that maybe have been pushed to the back burner a little bit. Like, let's get those things to the forefront and making sure our places look nice and whatever else. I'll give you one example. The roof at BCI, the sawtooth roof, I believe is what it's called. I thought it needed painted. I thought the paint was chipping. It's dirty. It's dirty. So we've focused on that this summer, and it looks great now. We had it power washed and cleaned and so forth, and so that just brings a lot of pride. Back to BCI, you come up and you see something like that, the new sign out there that was funded through fundraisers. That brings some pride back, and it's just making our facilities welcoming and also safe. Again, I know our facilities are aging. I think our facilities look really nice and really good. Again, I know they're not brand spanking new, but our folks do work really hard to make them look nice, and I think they look really nice. And so things that we can do, like cleaning that roof, it wasn't a big thing, but to me it made a big difference of really making that look nice over there. And also long-term planning of major projects. Again, we really kicked that off this summer and last year, some HVAC systems, and looking at boilers, looking at roofs, and just really trying to plan for those major projects as much as possible. And Mr. Eckley is doing a fantastic job leading that, along with support from Mr. Gotham. And we have a facilities committee that is as a member at all of our as membership from all of our schools, so they really do a good job. Anything for this one? Okay. Number 4, district finances, proactive stance in planning for future needs within the confines of current and projected future funding. Demonstrate fiscal responsibility in all aspects of operations and management. Again, trying to maintain a minimum cash balance of 90 days of expenditures in that financial forecast. Really looking at return on investment, qualifying student impact, ensuring transparency through those advisory meetings, annual financial reports, talking about this information in the bridge, talking about it at these meetings and other places also. The biggest probably change with this one is, this is going to be difficult, but we're really going to try to talk about expenditures as return on investments and how much impact are they going to have on student learning, and really trying to quantify it that way, rather than we are spending X amount of money on staff, but we're spending X amount of money with this program or with that program, and really trying to do that. So that's going to be a little bit of I think a challenge to be able to do that, and because it's a different way of looking at it. But really trying to connect those for our community, that, behind any great program, there's staff members, there's people that are working those things. They just don't magically happen, and those things cost money. So any questions about this one? Okay. So we are still working on, like below 4.1 and 4.2, there's action steps that are happening in that over the next 3 years, and then there's indicators of success that we are still trying to finalize. So at the end of 2027, what does it look like that we have met 4.1, or that we have met? And we're going to try to do it not only as by an adult but student, and see how that we're really going to try to focus on that. I will come back to you at another point in time in August with that information, and then also try to finalize it at that point. Any questions, comments, thoughts, or anything? All right, if you do, just let me know. All right, Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, somebody check me. Are we through everything on our agenda except for executive session? Good? All right, at this time, I make a motion to move to executive session for the purpose of considering the employment and/or compensation of a public employee per RC 121.22G1, and for the purpose of the sale of property at competitive bidding or the sale or other disposition of unneeded, obsolete, or unfit for use property in accordance with Section 505.10 of Revised Code per RC 121.22G2. Does my motion have a second?
Second?
Seconded by Mrs. Anderson. We do not anticipate taking any action whatsoever after we're done. However, you're welcome to stick around if you like. Mr. Godum, when you're ready, please call the roll to go to executive session.
Dr. Pryor,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dawn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey.
Yes.
4 yeses.
All right, we're in executive session at 8:06 p.m. Thank you, everybody. All right, we are out of executive session at 9:54 PM. I am making a motion to adjourn. Does my motion have a second?
Second.
I heard Mrs. Anderson as a second. Whenever you're ready, please call the roll.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dawn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes.
Dr. Pride.
Yes.
4 yeses.
All right, we are adjourned at 9:54 PM.